So don't just practice batters and you're just a robot throwing to the same spot. We have to sometimes create these game-like feelings. So, right, if they are aggressive, I'm like, thank you. I want aggressive hitters, right? Because when I see an aggressive hitter that wants to hit the ball, I don't have to throw a strike. She's gonna help me. It's your success on the line. It's the college coaches watching you. Hey guys, my name is Jamie Southern and welcome to the Weekly Dose. This month of March, we have been talking about bullpens, warm-ups, lessons, all that. And I'm gonna kind of stretch this topic just a little bit to make it fit into the month. But I wanna talk about how we use batters in our warm-ups, how we use batters when we practice or in lessons, and you probably do this with your lessons, but I just want to make sure we go over it and cover it because it's very important. And one of our viewers had some questions with this, so I thought this would be perfect to kind of like dig in a little deeper. When we do batters, right, imaginary batters, and our catcher's catching, or our parents, or a dad, then we need to kind of imagine, go a little deeper than just, oh, she's a righty, she's a lefty, and talk about she's a slapper. She is a big, like 3-4 hole batter. This is a big lefty that swings away. This is like the number 8 batter, or, right? We can kind of be a little more specific because those are the batters that we face, right? Every team has usually a really good right-handed batter and a really good maybe left-handed batter and a slapper and a bunt situation. Or we have, the bottom of the lineup that might have some weaknesses that we need to go after. So don't just practice batters and you're just a robot throwing to the same spot. We have to sometimes create these game-like feelings. So another situation sometimes is like, we've had umpires that give us nothing, right? We have to do some batters with umpires that are giving us no strikes. So what that looks like is if we practice that consistently to be like, okay, this umpire's tough on this batter, we're going to be in a game, we're going to be like, okay, I practice this all the time. It's okay. On the opposite end, we have to practice umpires that give us corners and give us a ball off. So now we know when we have that umpire after that first inning where we're kind of like feeling out the umpire, we know I am not even throwing anything close to a strike because he's going to give me a strike here and they cannot hit this. So thank you, right? You're not going to get those umpires very often. So when you do, you better be getting 10 strikeouts a game. Okay. But let's talk about and be a little bit more specific on my end of maybe how I face some of these batters. So we're going to think the umpire is just normal-ish, right? Like kind of calls the corners, nothing too much, but not like really like tight. And we're going to talk about a slapper. So when we think about slappers, we need to think about they've grown up facing pitchers that only throw them outside. Because at the 12 and under age, the 10 and under age, right? Pitchers are scared to throw them inside. They're afraid to hit them. They're kind of running on the plate a little bit. It's just it all happens so fast. So really, they see and they're expecting an outside pitch, right? Screwballs, drops outside to them, rise balls. That's what they're used to. That's what they're expecting. So it's okay if you have one of those pitches, that's your strength, like start them at it, like go for it. See if you can get some foul ball strikes. But remember, the slappers, most often, if they're not power slapping and they're really trying to do just like kind of like an infield slap or hit, they want that ball to go to the shortstop. So pitching outside is kind of really helping them, right? Just stick your bat out and it's going to go over there. And then we have this long throw across the field. A lot of slappers do not see inside pitches. Okay. So if you can start them outside to get a foul ball, get a swing and miss, right? And then come back inside where they're kind of leaning over now because they're thinking you're going to throw them outside. And I'm telling you, in college, I would just throw fastballs. Like my catcher might call a curveball, but I'm like, they're coming onto that chalk line, to that river area. I'm just going to throw a fastball inside because to them, it is so inside. The umpire is probably going to call it for a strike because there's no tail on it, right? And it's usually strike 3. And the worst that can happen most of the time is that they ground out to the second baseman because they pull it because they're not used to it being inside. And that's really what we want because it's a shorter throw. They're slappers because they're fast, okay? So A, they don't see a ton of inside pitches. And B, we kind of want them to hit it to the side that we want them to hit on, not to the shortstop side. So think about those two things. Another question with the slappers was, should you throw them change-ups? Okay, if we know they're just trying to tap the ball and possibly bunt it, we really don't want to throw them a change-up. It's too easy to bunt a change-up, okay? They also, because they're trying to hit it to the left side, to that shortstop third baseman, like it's kind of something where they can like get their hands and like tell the ball where to go because they have more time to direct it versus just kind of reacting and swinging at a pitch. So if you throw a changeup, it probably should be off the plate more where they might just swing and miss, especially on that outside. You also have to consider how happy their feet are. So a lot of times it's like, oh, she's got happy feet, man. She is running out of that box so fast that a changeup would work, right? If she hits that ball or makes contact outside the box, she's out anyways. So that's something, but if she's just kind of a normal slapper and she's going to make contact in there, great. Now, sometimes slappers are power slappers. And power slappers mean they still run through the box, right? They're still moving their feet, but they're trying to hit the ball as hard as they can. Absolutely, throw that change up, right? Because they're just hitting, plus their feet are moving, and they're not just trying to bunt or tap that ball. So you kind of have to be a little bit aware of what they're trying to do. Now, the batter, every pitch, they might do something different. So you kind of have to get a feel for the batter. And people that power slap, you know, an inside pitch, they're taught to turn on it. So you kind of have to like get experience with it. And you probably see 1 to 2 slappers in a game per team, maybe. So you can kind of start to find a sequence or start to say, okay, this is what they're really trying to do, depending on which age level you're at. So big time righties, right? If they are aggressive, I'm like, thank you. I want aggressive hitters, right? Because when I see an aggressive hitter that wants to hit the ball, I don't have to throw a strike. She's going to help me. Okay, so we're trying to say, is she a big time hitter and she's aggressive? Great. A big time hitter that's super disciplined, ooh, she's gonna be tough. She's gonna be a tough out, right? Because if the umpire's not giving me corners, I'm gonna have to put that ball on the plate. Ooh, she can hit a strike. So sometimes it's okay to walk the big batters. It's okay to throw good balls, intentional good balls. Like, I don't want to throw a strike. I'm gonna throw a ball off. If she swings, thank you. If she doesn't, big deal, okay? But if an umpire is not giving you the corners, if you put the ball on the plate, she's gonna hit it. So would you rather give up a walk or would you rather give up a home run, right? Those are the questions that you need to talk to your coach. Like, what do you want me to do? It's not out of fear, right? It's not out of fear. I'm not throwing to her because I'm scared she's gonna get hit. I'm being strategic to say, this is the situation. Now, if I have an umpire that is normal, I'm going for those corners and break off. They're going to give me a strike here or there. She's going to have to swing now, right? We have to figure out what that looks like game to game. But for a right-handed batter, if you have most of the pitches, right, you might start outside. She's used to probably seeing outside pitches because that's what everybody throws her. They're scared to throw her inside. So if you have a good inside pitch, do not be fearful to throw that. That is what we do in college, right? It's like, you got to take those risks because they're not expecting it. It's like a chess game. Sometimes I'm like, oh, she thinks we're throwing a changeup right here, right? She just fouled this ball off so hard. Why wouldn't we throw a changeup? But she's a good hitter, and I know she's expecting it, so we do not throw it, right? So if she's aggressive, she's going to probably get some changeups. If she's just a normalish batter that's just a good hard like strong batter, right? If my curveball's good, I'm gonna throw a curveball. I'm gonna throw a high screwball. And she's like, woo. And then I can go back out with maybe like a drop or curve or change outside off the plate, depending the count, right? We throw our pitches to different spots depending on the count, the umpire, and the batter. Are they aggressive? Are they not? Are they standing on the plate, off the plate, right? So all that, it's not, there's just this easy answer of you should throw this sequence. You have to take in everything into consideration. Sometimes your best defender might be the third baseman or the shortstop, so you need to throw more inside pitches and hope they ground out to the, your shortstop's gonna make the play. Like sometimes that's how you have to be strategic too. A big lefty hitter, right? Sometimes for the lefties, those drop into them are so hard for them to hit. Drops in general are hard, but remember the lefties are used to seeing outside pitches. And so you've got to be comfortable and practice throwing curveballs on that corner, right? Throw the curveball. Are you going to hit somebody? Absolutely. You're going to hit people in your career. But if you are not going to pitch that pitch because of fear, you're not getting better. And that's the difference. I need you to test the waters in practice over and over with no batter. Then maybe you put something standing there, right? Like a pool noodle. Like get something where it can stick up off of a tee and you can have this batter's leg where okay, I can do this. And then you got to do it in practice. And then you got to do it in the game. Okay, you guys can do this, and that's getting better, and that's taking those chances, because I promise you, think about what you're always pitched, right? Like if you're a big time batter or if you're a slapper. So what do you not always practice? The batters are pretty much the same, right? I'm feeling that even in college sometimes. It's like, okay, like they have strengths, but they also have weaknesses. And we got to figure out those weaknesses and consider our pitcher's strengths to figure out what we're going to go at them with. Now let's talk, the final thing we can kind of maybe consider is like the bottom of the lineup, right? And this like is different for all age groups and all like high school, middle school, it's all different, right? Like high school, middle school, like there's a lot of players that just play school ball, and that's okay. That's what school ball's for, right? Represent your school and you get to play. Maybe you have a more competitive school where they're all travel ball. It's all different. But the bottom of the lineup, sometimes they are not weaker, right? But they might have something with their swing that gives us a weakness from a pitcher's point of view that we like say, oh gosh, I could jam her. She has a slow swing. Or this batter kind of steps out a little bit and pulls her shoulder, so I can get her on the outside. And we have to make sure that we can figure that out after that first inning, so we know how to get them to hit our pitch or strike them out, right? And so a lot of the times it's usually like they have longer swings. That's what I just have found in my career. If you bat in the bottom of the lineup, like I'm not saying that's every batter, okay? But sometimes that is the thing. It's harder for them to hit a faster pitch. So jamming them would be a good option, right? They're going to be like, they want that outside pitch because that's kind of gives them a little bit more time. Instead of hitting it in front of them, they get to hit it kind of in front of their belly a little bit. And so that might be easier for them. Change-ups, you got to be really selective. Half the time you can strike them out with it. Half the time they're hoping, because that's the speed that they're more comfortable with. So bottom of the lineup, I don't throw a ton of change-ups. And if I do, it's like in the dirt or a ball off where I'm like, okay, if she swings, great. If not, I at least showed her something, and then I'm going to go back and jam her again, because after she saw a slow pitch, this pitch inside is going to seem really fast. Does that make sense? So thinking about that. Now I just want to throw this out here. The last little thing is, you get to college and like we chart pitches. Like coaches are charting pitches. They're figuring out which sequences to do, right? They have like scouting reports on all the batters. High school, I know my high school, we charted pitches. Travel ball, maybe it's gotten to that in some organizations, they do. But it wouldn't be a horrible idea. I mean, you guys face some of these teams over and over. You see them in high school ball. You eventually get to know your opposing hitters sometimes, but at the local tournaments, I would think that it would be a smart idea to have like a little notebook in there and to write down the batters, and in between innings, you can kind of say, okay, oh, she could not hit my curveball. And so you're like, number 20, throw the curveball, like, and start to be like, okay, number 15 swung and missed my changeup. I can throw her changeups. And you can start, or get with your coach that calls pitches to say like, I want to do this. I want to start charting. I want to be more strategic, and I want to like know the batter's weaknesses, because the next weekend we play them in the championship, like I want to feel like we know who they are, because every batter has a preference. I wouldn't say strength and weakness. Some do. Some are like, I can only hit inside pitches and I can't hit outside pitches, or I cannot hit a changeup, right? Some just have a preference. They're like, you know what? Like I hit inside pitches really hard. Outside pitches, I still can hit them, but it's just not as I don't get doubles with them or something like that, right? So every batter has those preferences or strengths and weaknesses, and they can evolve and they can change. They can work on hitting that outside pitch over and over, and then their inside becomes a little bit less, right? That's just how batting kind of works, and it evolves. But we need to know that if we're going to face them. Like, why wait till high school? Why wait till college to start doing that? Like, that's the fun part of the game, to say, this girl swings at every single rise ball. Like, I want to throw a curveball to get a strike, and then I'm going to go up with a rise ball. I'm going to try it again, see if I get 2 swings and misses, and then I'm going to go back out, right? Like, start to be a pitcher. Even if your coach, hopefully, they would be for this, like you want to do more work, but hopefully, like you guys can work together and don't just be robotic. It's your success on the line. It's the college coaches watching you. They're watching you in the dugout. They're watching you see a binder like, oh my gosh, like, yeah, I can get her and her. Okay, we have 5, 6, 7 coming up. She hit this one over here. Oh, she got a single on my changeup, and this girl flew out on my rise ball. Okay, right? Use that knowledge. Use that knowledge and keep it, and start a binder of the teams that you play. You might not remember every single binder or every single batter, big deal, right? But you might remember the key batters that you're like, oh, this worked, this didn't work. Oh, she's hitting 2 inside pitches on me. Like I'm sticking with her outside until she makes an adjustment, and then I'll come back in or something, right? But practice in practice. Be specific to the batters. Be specific to certain umpires. Some umpires don't call any high pitches, right? A pitch that's fat down the middle that you're like, that is such a strike. They're going to call it a ball. And some umpires, right? They like the low ones. So can you throw to batters that, okay, he's only calling low strikes, so I got to get my curveball lower. I got to get my screwball lower. I got to get my drops here, right? Practice that, because if you practice the same way every single time, you're facing different teams and batters and swings and umpires every single time. You have to be flexible and you have to be adaptive so that you're not getting frustrated on the mound because you're like, this is how I throw. Does that make sense? Okay, so that's a good topic. I think it's very important to start thinking like this and to prepare for our games in a better, more specific way. This workout of the week, we will obviously apply that so we can kind of give you some practice and let you think about things. So remember, subscribe if you haven't, so you are in the loop and you're growing and you're allowing your pitchers to get better, smarter, and just the edge to be an elite pitcher, right? You're preparing their foundation for being a future All-American. And so I love it. And let me know if you have any questions, and I will see you soon. Bye, guys.